welcome to this episode of Work Matters. This is where we talk about any and all issues related to work. No matter the issue, we can discuss it. Why? Because work matters. I'm your resident host, Dr. Donna L. Cook, and with me today is our resident human resource specialist, Tracy Griffin-Madison. Hi, Tracy.
Hello, Donna. How are you?
I'm great. So good to see you again.
It's great to see you, and it's good to be here.
Yes, absolutely. So, friends, we are so excited about our show today. What we're going to talk about is dope in the workplace. That's our topic. Yes, dope in the workplace. Okay. The title is a little bit misleading. What we're really talking about is personality and how we function at work based on our personality. So let's begin by talking about personality. You know, Tracy, our personalities are pretty much shaped about age 5 years old. That's when we really start forming who we are, who we become, and how we're going to function in the world. So personality is really about our patterns of thinking, our patterns of feeling, and the way we behave, and that's unique to each person. So what we're doing today is talking about how those personalities function in the workplace on a lot of different levels.
Yeah.
And what we're going to use to do that is, as I said, DOPE. So we're using the DOPE personality test, which many of you are probably familiar with. And this test categorizes personalities according to 4 different animal prototypes, and they all are birds. So we have the dove, which is where we get our D, the owl, which is where we get our O, the peacock, which is where we get our P, and the eagle, which is where we get our E. Now, this DOPE personality test was developed by Dr. Gary Kocher. And so what we're doing is encouraging you to go back and take that test so that you'll know which personality type is yours, and then that will help you to understand this video a little bit better. So Tracy's going to give you a brief overview of the prototypes, but again, our main function today is to look at how the dove, the owl, the peacock, and the eagle function in the workplace. So Tracy, why don't you begin by giving us that overview of each one of the prototypes?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Donna. I'm really excited about this topic because it really unfolds a lot of information about the people that you work with, including your boss and your teammates. So we'll first start with DOPE, and D is for dove. Doves are your steady relators. These are your supportive team members. These are your team members that really thrive when teams are at harmony. They're the ones that really like harmony. They like to be supportive, and they're very relational. And these are your doves. So if you think about doves, think about steady relator. Steady relator. And then so your O, which is the owl, O-W-L, got that little Texas accent going on there. But your owl they're your thinkers, they're analytical, they are very compliant. These are your rule-based team members. These are your team members that know that the policy says item 3, number 4, is where you can find that rule, for example. So your owl, if you think about your owls, they are your compliant, analytical thinkers, the owls, okay? And then P in DOPE is for your peacock. These are your socializers, your influencers, your expressive team members. These are your communicative team members, the ones that really like to communicate. They're energetic, animated, and these are your socializers. And your influencers. So those are your P, your peacock. And then we have E in DOPE, your eagle. Your eagles are your director type roles, not necessarily in position, but they're the ones that pretty much can stand up and take charge. And then they also have a dominant personality, and they're your drivers. These are your results-oriented team members. Now, Donna, we need every type of bird in every situation at work. Think about it. What would happen if we had a work full of nothing but doves? You know, We would all be
Right.
relating and all just have harmony, and we would never take a conflict that serious because we'd all wanted to be, you know, kumbaya, you know, in the workplace. And think about if everybody was an eagle, we would all try to direct and get results and rule over everything and rule over each other. Okay. And what if everybody was a peacock? Boy, we would party hardy, girl, every day. and, and we probably wouldn't get much done, right? Okay.
Right.
And think about if everybody was an owl. We would have so much structure and so many rules that would we really enjoy coming to work a lot, you know? And
Right.
so we really need that balance. We really need every style, every communication style, every personality style at work. But by the same token, each style has strengths and each style has weaknesses. And so we really need to be aware of what each style brings to the table and what each style can focus on in terms of doing things more effective and doing things differently.
Great explanation. And I really like the way you're saying that, we need all of those styles to make our workplace dynamic and so that we all can learn from each other. I already have a question here from Oceanside, California, and a person is asking, can you be a combination of one or more styles, or do people generally gravitate to one style over the other?
Excellent question from Oceanside, California. All right, so here's the answer to that question. We all have a primary dominant role that is natural for us. It is very natural. But we also have a secondary role that is second to natural. So, in other words, we have a primary role that's just who we are. It doesn't take much energy to be in that role. And then we have a secondary role where it doesn't take as much energy either. However, we have all learned, depending on our situation, we have all learned how to embrace and engage each role in order to help us feel comfortable in the current environment that we are in. So, for example, a talkative, expressive peacock can learn to shut down if they're hurt or if they're angry. Okay. By the same token, an introverted dove who may be a little laid back may become explosive when they're frustrated or angry. Okay. But let me explain it to you this way in terms of who you are and how things can become natural for you. So imagine yourself sitting at your desk at work and you have your primary style on the table on top of your desk. Your primary style is the style that you can just reach for. You can put it on, put it back down, take it back up, put it back on the desk, flip it around, throw it up in the air, catch it like it's nothing. Okay? That's your primary style. All right? But then you have a style that's at the bottom that's in the attic room. You gotta go grab the ladder, unfold the ladder, walk up the ladder, pull the chain down in the attic. You're sweating by this time because this has given you a whole lot of work and effort to get up to that attic. And so now you need to get in that attic, dust stuff off, move things around, style. And now you're out of breath because you got to climb down the ladder, look at it, and figure out what it was because you hadn't had it in a while and make it work. That's that style that is not so natural for you. And boy, it pulls you out of character to try to get into that style. You can do it, but it takes a whole lot of effort to get into that style. So that's how you know which top two, last two styles you are based on effort and how natural the style comes to you.
Wow, that made a lot of sense when you explained it that way. And I just want to remind people again, if you want to know your personality type in terms of DOPE, you can Google it really, really easily. Just put in the DOPE bird personality test, and that will tell you what your style is, what your personality style is. So let's have a little bit of fun with it. I know some people are working from home, but some people are still in the workspace. So what does the workspace look like for each one of these personality types? If I were to walk in on the dove, what would his or her workspace look like? Or the peacock, or the owl, or the eagle?
So the dove is the relator, right? So you're going to see a lot of warm, fuzzy family pictures around the dove's office. The people and the things that mean the most to a dove will be featured in their office. So a lot of times it's their close family members or their best friend or the one that they're in a relationship with. You'll see those warm and fuzzy pictures. Anything that's warm and fuzzy and team oriented is what you're going to see in the dove's workspace. An owl is going to have a very structured workspace, and it's going to be functional. So whatever they need on their desk is going to be on their desk that they can readily assess, and it's going to have, just a little bit more structure to it. You may not see a lot of warm fuzzy, not a lot of pictures. You may not even know who their family is, with an owl. They may not even have that around. A peacock is probably going to have a very colorful, fun-loving, bells and whistles type of desk. And it may be cluttered. It may be disorganized at times. Everywhere, that may be the peacock. And the eagle, they will probably have a little bit of structure, a little bit of fun. And then they will probably, you will probably see a lot of their awards.
Wow. That's a lot. That was a lot of fun. Thank you for sharing. And I'm a dove, so you definitely described my workspace to a T. Anybody that knows me, that is my workspace. Okay, we have another question from San Antonio, Texas. And this viewer asks, as people develop their career path they're on, as they're on that journey, can their style change and evolve naturally? Or is it whatever it is that you are, that's who you are? Can that kind of transpose as they go along the continuum of their career path? Or do they tend to stick with whatever their natural tendency is?
In most cases, you are who you are. Just like you said, our personalities are developed from the time we're 5 years old. And so you are pretty much who you are. What may confuse people is that based on their work environment, they have learned to survive in a certain style. And so you hear a lot of people that may say, I like my job, but it doesn't come as natural for me. I really enjoy my job. I feel like I can't be myself in my job. It's because they have learned to survive. And so what we want to do is find roles that make us be who we are. And we're comfortable with who we are in the role that we have. And when we talk about DOPE, the dove, the owl, the peacock, and the eagle, a lot of these assessments will be able to tell people what careers and what roles that they thrive best in. So, yeah.
Very interesting.
Absolutely.
Very interesting. So let's talk about some of the challenges that each one of those personality types, what do we need to look out for based on our strengths, but also what do we need to look out for in terms of the challenges we may have based on our personality type?
Excellent question, Dr. Donna. So here's a quote that I would like for people to write down and remember. And that quote is, a strength out of control can become a weakness. A strength out of control can become a weakness. And what that means is that being in our strengths is really good and it's who we are and it does come natural. But when we're our strength out of control, it can be overwhelming to other people and it can get out of control. So we have to really learn to manage the strengths of our personalities and our communication styles. So for example, a dove may just go along to get along when they may have to learn to speak up and speak out, even with the unpopular things to bring up. Because remember, what drives them, they love harmony and they love teams getting together and working together well. And one thing that I like about a dove, if a dove says that you're their friend, you are their friend. And doves have what we call depth. They have depth of friendships. They may not have a lot, but they have depth. Most doves have had their best friend since elementary school and even middle school. I have not met a dove whose best friend hadn't been their best friend for over 20, 30, 40 years, and that's their friend. And so they have more depth. Okay. And so, an owl's weakness is that a lot of times you never know what an owl is thinking. Their facial expressions are more neutral. Their tone is more neutral. You may not hear a lot of inflection or animation in their tone. They seem and come across more serious. Even when they're joking, you're not sure whether to, you know, because they are just no nonsense, to the point, fact based. It is what it is. Okay, and we do need those types in our lives to help us weed out the noise. And they're really good at weeding out the noise and shaving, as we say in the South, shaving the fat off the bologna and getting right to the point.
Wow, so informative, so very informative. So I'm going to give you a few scenarios, and if you can just kind of break it down for us as to what we would see. So let's say we have an eagle supervisor and we have dove employees. This supervisor is an eagle and most of the employees are doves. What dynamic would we need to, would kind of take place in that situation?
Well, I have actually seen this dynamic before where you have the eagle about bottom line results and they don't have time for hello, how are you, and how was your weekend? They're more about where are we? What are the numbers? Pull up that chart. Let me see what's going on. Let's figure out ABC 1, 2, 3. How do we get there? Where are we now? What are we going to do? What's next? And so your dove is feeling like overwhelmed. They came in and didn't even say hello. How are you? We just got past the holidays and nobody said Merry freaking Christmas, you know. So they're like, my boss is so overwhelming and they're demanding and all
insensitive.
Insensitive. They just want results, results, results. And so we've got to figure out between the eagle boss and the team member doves how to help that eagle boss to slow down a little bit, get to know your doves one-on-one, because after all, remember, doves are relationship people. They are about being relatable. And so you're going to get the best eagle boss out of your dove team members once they know that you know and that you care about them and that you want to understand them and appreciate them better. The thing that frustrates a dove the most is insensitivity. And if you come across as insensitive to their needs, to who they are, you may get some passive aggressive behavior from a dove. And what that may mean is that they may go, hello, and you may go, where are we? And they may push the delete button and you may not ever get what you really need.
Great. Let's do one more scenario. Let's do an owl and a dove who are working on a project together. What would that nuance be like?
So the cool thing about the owl and the dove is that they are both natural supporters. So they're going to really support each other and help each other out. Okay. However, the owl is going to be a little bit no frills. Okay. And the dove is going to want them to really clean together and work together and, really be a partnership. And so what's going to happen if you're not careful is that it's going to take their part, grab the material and go back to their office, research it and get it all done and throw it back at the dove. And the dove is going to feel like, well, they just took the project and ran with it and never made me a part of it. And we didn't even work on it together, because they're looking for the relationship in getting the project accomplished. So they're going to have some me time, so to speak, where they do things together. And then we're going to have to allow them to go back in their space and kind of analyze it and think about it a little more, and then come back together.
So, we're having some fun with this, and it's really interesting and entertaining to a certain degree. But, these issues are really, really important because a lot of times we personalize our interactions with others. And so I think it's important as we review this to understand that these are just our ways of being. And it's not a personal issue necessarily when we are engaging in relationships and projects and having interactions with each other as coworkers, with our supervisors, and so on and so forth. So these are really, really important things to look at and to take into consideration as we function in our work environment. Oh, excellent. Now, I reveal that I'm a dove. We cannot leave this session without you revealing what your personality type is according to D.O.P.E.
Well, my primary style is a peacock, and my secondary style is an eagle.
Very interesting. Very good. And do you find this is really true for you in the workplace in terms of how you function?
Oh, absolutely. Now, one thing we have to understand, Dr. Donna, is that if you're self-aware, you can go through a learning phase and manage the weaknesses of your style more effectively. So early on in my career, I did have the messy desk. I was unorganized. I was communicating all over the place. And I drove people just crazy until I had coworkers and bosses that really worked with me in a very loving and kind of way to help me understand how my style can come across and how my style can affect others. And so I really learned and worked hard at being more organized, being more structured, and communicating more effectively, written and orally, as a peacock. And so at work, in most cases, people don't see a lot of the peacock in me because I have learned to overcome some of the weaknesses of a peacock.
Yes, I would agree with that. And I can kind of give a personal testament to that as well. As you mentioned, the owl is very interested in harmony and maybe not necessarily speaking up, but in my years, I've learned to speak up in an assertive way and to make my thoughts and my views and to make sure that I do have voice if there's something that does not sit well with me in the work environment and in a personal environment as well.
Oh, I think everyone has the capability to manage who they are and then eventually rise to the occasion.
Well said, well said. So this concludes this session of Work Matters, where we deal with any issue or any matter that you have concerning work. Why? Because work matters. We encourage you to subscribe to our channel because you don't want to miss any further sessions that are coming up. So please subscribe to our channel. If you have questions about the D.O.P.E. in the workplace, personality test, or any of the conversation today, or any questions that you have that you want us to address in terms of Work Matters, please send us an email at workmatters365@gmail.com. And again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.